All right, it's 10 a.m. We are back live. And what have I got myself into? I am in the pool with our Humboldt penguins and our keeper, Travis. We are doing their morning breakfast feed. This is our virtual safari. Oh, there we go. We've got someone joining. I want to let a couple more people sign on first, but here you can see I'm hanging out with some penguins right now. Today is not a bad day. It's Giving Tuesday now, so if you can support Denver Zoo, today would be a great day to do it. Our donation button is live. You can donate through our website. And again, we are with the Humboldt penguins. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for tuning in again. Hi, Shannon. Yes, this is the Humboldt penguins. We are so excited. Hi, Ruby. Got Travis behind me. Hi, Shannon. Thanks for the hello. We're feeding our Humboldt penguin flock. How fun is this? We're actually in the pool with them, and we're going to have a really good time talking about them and learning about them. We have Keeper Clay up on the shore, so he'll help me answer those questions for you. And if you can donate and you can support Denver Zoo, this is a great time to do it. It is Giving Tuesday now. I do have the best job, Lauren, and so does Travis. And so does Clay. I just get to hang out once in a while. They get to do this all the time. So we're going to talk about these penguins here, but if you can donate, we would really appreciate it. We are matching donations today. Our wonderful Board of Governors and Leadership Council matching $68,000 in donations. So you are going to double your impact today. Thank you, Megan. All right, we already have questions coming in, and we have some very hungry penguins. So I am going to get started. Okay, so here's the flock. Clay, how many do we have in this flock?
We have 18 in total.
We have 18 in this Humboldt penguin flock, and this is different from our African penguin flock that live over outside of Bird World. This flock lives up next to our sheep mountain across from the carousel. So if you're familiar with that viewing space, that is where you would see one of our Humboldt penguins. What makes them different?
Where they live, and they're a little bit bigger. So Humboldt penguins are found off Peru and Chile. And they follow that Humboldt current. That's just where they get their name. They also get it from the explorer Alex Humboldt.
So Humboldt penguins, unlike our African penguins, are found off the coast of Chile and Peru in South America, and they're a little bit bigger. It's hard to tell if they're not side by side, right. But the Humboldts are indeed bigger than the African penguins, but they're both a banded species of penguin.
That's correct.
So they look very similar. They have that shading around their face. This is Fisher. He is a really friendly penguin. Kellen is 4. He wants to know how much they eat every day.
It all depends on the penguin. Some penguins eat a lot, some eat not as much. On average, this morning, since they're getting capelin, they'll eat anywhere from 3 to 4 capelin. Some of the bigger penguins, we got a penguin in this flock called Hugo. He is a big boy. He's one of the biggest penguins I've ever seen, and he definitely will eat a lot more than 4. But we also have Baby, which is our smallest Humboldt, which is that purple one that Travis just fed. She's almost the size of an African penguin, so she'll eat a little bit less than some of the bigger ones.
So these guys are entirely fish eaters, and how much they eat varies on their age and their weight. What is the age range of our Humboldt flock?
So our age range is anywhere from under a year. Torino, this little guy right here, is our newest one to the flock. He is the youngest, and then our oldest is Brat. He just turned 29 in March.
So we have a juvenile, a little baby, not very little anymore, and then a 29-year-old. So they range 29 years in age. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Angie. Remington is wondering how fast they can swim.
That is a good question. How fast would you say they swim, Travis?
Anywhere from like 5 to 10 miles an hour.
You can see that a lot in this exhibit. When they get really excited, they'll just start doing laps. Back and forth.
And they are really enjoying their breakfast feeding. We held off a little bit so we could bring you all today's live at 10 a.m. Thank you so much, Andrea and Lori, for those donations. Hi, Aaron. Ethan says he loves penguins. And they do all have names, correct?
Absolutely.
We couldn't just call these just birds or a number. They all have a name. They're all very special with unique individual personalities. So this is Baby.
This is Baby. This is Crush. This is Houdini. Here we have Pork Chop. We have Lapis. Lapis is one of our original Humboldt penguins. that came to the zoo in 1998. So he has spent the bulk of his life living here at our institution.
I just got absolutely splashed by one of the by one of the penguins. Even in waders, you're gonna get a little bit soaked in here. So this is Fisher again. He's a very friendly guy.
And his brother. That's who else is following me.
So where's our biggest one?
Hugo. He has a right red band on. Let's see. He'll come back over here and take a fish. He's kind of walking along the back of the group. He's coming over to the edge of the pool. You can see he's noticeably larger than everybody else. He's the big guy. He does not remotely realize that he's the biggest penguin, but he certainly is. He typically is over 5 kilos, so that's a pretty large Humboldt penguin.
How much do they weigh?
These guys are a little bit larger than an African. Our Africans are somewhere between, I'd say, 5 to 8 pounds. These guys are probably more in the 7 to 8, maybe even up to 12 to 13 pounds at their largest. You have some birds that are really large. Right on cue, that's vocalizing because he's in molt right now. So all that extra weight, if he turns, you can see how huge his wings are. And you can see that he's bone dry. Almost everybody's gotten into the pool except for him. And we have another one right here that looks a little different. And this is the tail end of a molt. Those birds are not waterproof. So that's why you see them hanging out up here on shore. It's because they won't get into the water, and it's the natural process. The same thing would happen in the ocean.
What is a molt for anyone who's not familiar?
A molt is a method in which birds regenerate their feathers. Most people are not used to seeing it like penguins do. We're all used to seeing flighted birds in North America. And flighted birds just drop a few feathers at a time over a very long period of time. Because flighted birds need to stay away from predators. They need to be able to feed themselves. And penguins adapted a different molt process. They do their whole body at once in about a 2 to 4 week period. So they get so huge because they're not waterproof, and in the wild they wouldn't feed themselves. So this fat store is not only the energy source for the feathers, but also the energy source for the bird in the wild, because he wouldn't be feeding himself.
So when they molt, that's just a natural occurrence. I know sometimes people are concerned that the bird might be sick and losing all of its feathers, but that is just a natural process.
Totally natural, and we want to see every one of them do it once a year. We have a really nice concentrated molt season with this flock. There's a little penguin fight, also completely normal, especially with molting birds like the one in the back. Dundee is the bird that looks a little rough right now, and they don't feel well. Their personality changes. They're a little more ornery, short-tempered. If you could put your hands on him, he's very warm. His wings are very, very warm to the touch. But they know their keepers. They're pretty tolerant of us, just not necessarily always the neighbor that's standing next to him. Grab some more fish.
Dundee's the type's kind of cranky around everyone else, and then around his parents, he's an angel again.
They get a little ornery when they're going through a molt.
Clay or Travis, which bird would you say is most spoiled?
Fisher.
Fisher, this very friendly guy.
This is him.
At Travis's back. Fisher's probably the most spoiled, Lori. And it's because he's one of the friendliest.
Fisher's a lot like Maddie at the African flock. He was hand raised. He had some health issues when he was a chick. So he got to know keepers very well. So he's not as people-minded as Maddie is, but he definitely loves all the attention that we give him.
Now, how come we can't let the Humboldts and the Africans live together if they're so similar?
Well, because they would have the ability to breed together, and then we're not doing our due diligence as biologists and promoting breeding in the correct species. So they're very, very closely related. Same genus, so same type of penguin. These guys are Peru and Chile, and our Africans are South Africa and Namibia, but they absolutely could interbreed, and then we'd end up with a hybrid species that would not naturally exist anywhere in the wild. They're separated by the Atlantic, so Mother Nature does a good job of keeping this species separate from their relatives that they could breed with. So that's why we have 2 exhibits at the zoo. A lot of times people think we have the same animal in both exhibits because they look so similar, but they're definitely 2 different species.
Hi, Davetta. The temperature of this water, would you say, is about 60 degrees?
Yes.
So it's a little chilly in the waders, but mine are nice and insulated, so we're holding up okay, and they enjoy this weather.
You were asking about a molt. This is a great example. This is a bird that needs to molt. So you can see the rough looking feathers on Crush's back. And then this is Jermaine, and Jermaine is in an active molt right now. So he just finished dropping feathers. You can still see a lot of the down on his back. And if you look at his belly, you can tell that he definitely has some extra weight compared to the other birds.
Ella's 4, and she wants to know how much time they spend in the water.
I would say more in the top half of the day, and it's a little different inside a zoo or aquarium than the ocean. These guys could go to sea for a couple days at a time if they had to. These penguins have the ability to even go to sleep and just float in the ocean. So they could spend extended periods in the ocean in a wild setting because they have to search for a long time to find the food populations that they need. A little bit different in the zoo. The pool's mainly used for drinking, for bathing, for play, socialization. But these guys are all hand-fed, so the search for food cuts down a little bit of the time that they would naturally spend in the water.
And who is this cranky guy?
This is Dundee.
Dundee. He is a big guy.
He's a big guy, and he's normally very, very friendly. He's one of the younger males. We have 2 or 3 that are unpaired, and they're kind of a social group. We jokingly call them the 3 Stooges because they're kind of buddies and they're mischievous. So he would normally be in the water with Fisher the entire time, but due to the molt, he'll stay out and just vocalize like you've heard.
Hi, Christian. We really miss having you at the zoo. We can't wait for you to come back. Giovanni's 8. He says, in the winter, do they spend most of their time inside or outside?
These guys have choice, and because of where they live in Peru and Chile, not quite as warm as it is in South Africa. So these guys are a little more cold tolerant. We provide plenty of heat for them. What you see in the exhibit when you come to the zoo, these are all burrow openings, and they have access to heat and a building behind the exhibit. So the animals have choice. Whether it's July or whether it's January, they can go inside where it's shady and warm, shady and cool, or stay out here all day. It's really up to them. We try to provide as much different places and choices for them to spend the day as they would like to.
So sometimes you'll come out, maybe you'll see the whole flock, maybe you'll see just 1 or 2. Who's most likely, when everyone else is inside, to be the one to venture out and come swim?
Fisher.
Fisher?
For sure. Because of his health issues, Fisher was actually mostly hand-reared. He spent about 5 weeks in ICU. So keeper staff hand-raised him, and he's pretty imprinted, which means he's very, very used to humans. I got to get some more fish, pork chop. So he notices not only his keepers when they're up here, but he actually pays attention, and he will notice people at the glass when you're at the exhibit as well.
Thank you to everyone who's been donating. You can donate right through Facebook, or you can just go to denverzoo.org, our website. Instructions on how you can donate are right there. So a couple of the very smart penguins are following Travis over to his food bucket. They want to be the first to get back there. Who's this saying hello to me? Blue band, right arm.
That is Alex. And
Alex.
That is Fisher's brother. He was also a little ill as a juvenile penguin, but not to the point where he needed to live in the hospital. So Alex stayed with his parents and was reared or fed by his parents, and then supplementally fed by us so that we could get medications and stuff in him. So they're a great story, great success story, because Alex was paired up with a penguin from SeaWorld, and the juvenile Carino that you met, this is their first attempt at breeding, so they kind of got everything right. We had nesting, we had a fertilized egg, and they've done a great job raising their baby.
So Alex and Bezos are the parents of Carino?
Alex and Bezos, and he is very often found very close to Dad.
So, Alex, everyone's asking, how soft is a penguin?
When they're dry, they feel like a stuffed animal. And if you guys could touch one when they get out of the pool, or if a bird gets out of the ocean, they kind of feel like a wetsuit.
Yes, like a wetsuit, or like those microfiber fleece towels that get wet. It's kind of like that. Aaron's wondering if they like to be held.
It depends on the individual. Fisher would do just about anything that his regular keepers would do. He's pretty used to us. He very frequently, if you were sitting in here doing some observations or something with the birds, you very frequently would have Fisher around you, probably even crawl on your lap, and just like you're seeing in the pool, Carly. There's some of them that are very social and come around us all the time. Right?
They are having a great time with us feeding. Everett's wondering how often they're fed. This is their breakfast, so do they get lunch and dinner?
We typically would feed them twice a day. Sometimes we feed them more. You have birds like Alex and Bezos that are raising a chick. And when you're raising a chick, we may feed you up to 4 to 5 times a day. Mom and dad feed via regurgitation. So what they're doing is the same thing they would do in the ocean. Go and fill up on fish, and then they have to have enough food in their belly to feed not only themselves, but their offspring. Most of the time they lay 2 eggs. So you have to imagine 2 Humboldt penguins are feeding 2 kids that are the exact same size that they are in less than 3 months.
And if you missed any of that, I'm sorry. Those two were vocalizing, having a little conversation, did not realize that we were live on Facebook. So apologies on behalf of those 2 birds.
You might come back and do it again.
So Lisa's wondering what the lifespan of a Humboldt is.
In a zoological setting, late 30s and even into their, late 20s and even into their 30s. Early to mid 20s maybe for a bird that you'd find in Peru or Chile. But there's a lot of differences between a zoo setting and the wild setting. These guys have great hospital care. There's no hunting for food. Food's always provided for them. You kind of avoid weather extremes. So there's a lot of things that may contribute to these guys having just a little bit longer of a life inside a zoological setting.
Who is this on the left, yellow?
That is Pork Chop.
Pork Chop.
And here's Fisher. He's back.
There's Fisher. He's a real friendly penguin. Carrie Ann from South Carolina says hello, Denver Zoo. And then Susan from Virginia. Hi, thanks for watching. Make sure you drop in some questions. Amanda's wondering if they like cold weather better or warm weather.
This type of penguin is a little more adapted and comfortable in a temperate climate. So our cold weathers here in Colorado is not their norm. So a lot of times in the winter when you come by, if we have a very cold day, like I said, they have choice. So you'll have most of them seeking warmth in the back. Our summer months are not too extreme for them at all. So they do great in the summer months. So like I said, they're a more temperate bird.
Angela's wondering what they might be vocalizing about.
Some of this is territory. So all the burrows are openings in the exhibit that you see. Some of these birds or family groups have laid claim to them. This is kind of like a Humboldt penguin subdivision. Everybody's got a different yard and a different house. So some of those are friends going into kennels together. It could be mates or relatives greeting one another. And depending on the individual and the body posture that goes with it, that is what tells you what penguins are saying. So some of this is territorial.
And how do we make sure they all get enough food every day?
These guys are great at feeding the appetite, and you kind of have to know the flock. It looks like we're just walking around handing fish to whatever. But I haven't been looking at the camera the whole time because I'm watching pairs and family groups. So once you know the flock, it's easy to tell as you rotate through the flock who has eaten and who hasn't. You'd have to know a little bit of the dominance in the flock. You have some more dominant, aggressive birds that want to eat right away. So we feed them first. It helps keep some of the fighting down. And then you always have a few birds that will come up at the end. So we hang out. The penguins are used to the routine, and they're good at feeding the appetite. So they'll come back if they want more.
Lala, she just tuned in. She said penguins are her favorite, but she had a math test. So Lala, we're going to make sure this is uploaded later so you can watch the whole thing. How long can they swim underwater? Adeline 4 from Thornton is wondering.
These guys are going to be just like our African penguins. Most of their reasons why they swim in the ocean to catch food is going to be relatively close to the surface. So you're only talking a few hundred meters at the most, more than likely. So you're talking at the max, maybe a 2 to 3 minute breath hold for these guys to go underwater and swim.
Very cool. Aaron's wondering, do they fight when they're mad at each other or just kind of walk away and vocalize?
The first one would be the more correct guess. These guys are a little more aggressive than our Africans are too, and they will stand up to each other. So some of the vocalizations you saw, if there was a penguin standing there with his chest puffed out, head in the air vocalizing, that's a way of saying I'm a really tough bird and you should avoid the space that I'm in.
Janet from Spartanburg, South Carolina says Travis is a friend of ours. Oh, she says it's a great show. So thank you so much for watching all the way in South Carolina. And thank you, Amy, for sending a little donation on Giving Tuesday. It is Giving Tuesday now. You're probably familiar with Giving Tuesday being right after Thanksgiving. but it's been decided that everyone could use a little extra help right now. So today, May 5th, is Giving Tuesday now. If you can donate, our Board of Governors and our Leadership Council here at Denver Zoo are matching $68,000 in donations. And that is something to cheer about, like those penguins are. So you can really double your impact today. Hi, Andrew from Laramie. We think they can swim about 5 to 10 miles an hour. They're pretty speedy. And do they go long distances, or are they more kind of short distance swimmers?
They can do both. You have to imagine if they're in the ocean searching for fish, they may go large distances doing that. So when these guys swim at top speeds, they're much like dolphins. You'll get a lot of porpoising. They're going to skyrocket out of the water, exhale, inhale, and right back into the water. So the same up and down behavior that you see from marine mammals is the same way these guys swim over fast speeds and long distances. Any more, Milo?
We just saw the hippo Mahali porpoise a little bit.
Yeah.
So a couple porpoising animals that we're talking about.
Just a really cool adaptation. It helps them be more efficient in the water and be able to conserve a little bit of energy over long distances.
This is Travis's mom. She says, I love seeing this. She's so proud of her son. So we are big Travis fans too.
This is an argument. You were asking about aggression. So that is Milo's summer home. And he has the right yellow band on, and Milo is reminding Dundee that he does not belong there. And a lot of times that's all you see. Now you see the left yellow penguin has wandered over, so you get a mate greeting. And now they're going to walk back into their territory and defend it if Dundee tries to go back in there.
And are those just nosy neighbors up there?
Same thing. It's going to be a territorial display. Those are two unpaired males, so that's Fisher and his buddy. And this is their territory that they've laid claim to.
That was kind of noisy there. Hope everyone stayed with us. Ethan wants to know what their favorite enrichment is.
Keepers mostly. They spend a lot of time. These guys are really playful. You can put just about anything in the pool. We have lots of enrichment items, much like our African penguins. You don't always see it out here because they quickly retrieve it. And then just like you just saw the display of defending a territory, most enrichment items will end up back in their territories. So they like to use them as nesting material or kind of hoard them and protect them. But they'll go after a little bit of everything. They like cat toys, floaty pool toys. We even use bubbles with them on breezy days.
Where's Dundee gonna go now? He's been kicked out of his...
He'll walk back and forth. Normally he would be spending a lot of time with Crush and Fisher. There are 3 unpaired males. But he doesn't want to move around as much. He's carrying a lot of extra body weight. You can kind of even see the rolls right where his legs meet his body. He's a little larger than he normally is. Move around a whole lot. He came out to get some breakfast, and like I said, his body temperature is up, so he's probably going to spend most of the day in the shade or standing in the back somewhere where he's comfortable.
And this is our juvenile Carino, correct?
Correct. And Carino is slowly getting interested in fish, so he nibbles on one. The fact that he doesn't run away from them is great. And he'll even take him and swim around the pool, but he's not eating on his own yet. So Alex and Bezos are still feeding him.
Arthur says, hi, Dada. That is Clay's son, I assume? Yep. Aw, thanks for watching, Arthur. What is their favorite fish?
Capelin. This is hands down the favorite fish of both flocks. So we feed this in the morning. This is what we would consider a lower fat fish. And by feeding that in the morning, we know that they're going to digest it and burn through it and be hungry again in the afternoon. And we feed a higher fat fish in the afternoon because much like us, a baked potato or a cheeseburger is going to sit in your stomach a lot longer than just a salad would. So we feed a higher fat fish in the afternoon. That's a longer period until the next day. So that food is higher in calories, takes longer to digest, and provides a larger calorie source for birds that are raising a chick like Alex and Bezos.
Hi, Lala. Sometimes we do blow bubbles for these guys, and they do enjoy it.
Well done.
Lori's wondering, do they mate for life?
Inside a zoological setting, most of the time the pairs stay together for very, very long periods of time. It's pretty rare to have a pair be designated a different mate. In the wild, the same thing is going to happen. But every year, you have penguins that were bred or reached maturity from the year before. So those young single females and males may eyeball another male or female that's attached, and a breakup could happen. It can also happen in the zoo. So they tend to stay together for very long periods of time, but maybe not necessarily always their whole life.
Does that result in any lasting drama between the penguins?
Yeah, they're not always nice to each other. It's totally normal penguin behavior, but you get a little bit of fighting that'll happen from that. And if it's a strong pair bond, the respective male or female will absolutely defend it. They want to keep their mate.
That is a great question. Michelle says, penguins are amazing. We totally agree. We're going to see if any one of them want to come back out and swim. So Clay's going to take over answering some questions here. We can also just enjoy this beautiful day in the pool with our Humboldt penguin flock. It is Giving Tuesday now. Denver Zoo is doing 4 of our virtual safaris. You are watching the 2nd right now. We've already highlighted Mahali the hippo. We did that at 9 this morning. And after this, we'll be going to see Tundra, our grizzly bear, at noon. So if you're a Tundra fan, I know we haven't featured her since we started these virtual safaris. So we are excited to go see her. So start thinking of your grizzly bear questions. A lot of viewers from South Carolina today, Travis.
All right.
Let's see. Becky says, thank you for doing this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for donating, Liliana. So how much food do you still have to give? Is this the last kind of batch?
This is the last. You can tell they fill up, and they're good like us. You get a little full, and you kind of push back from the table, and they do the same thing. They'll start to leave us alone. I usually stick around in the water a little bit more. It's hard to see on Facebook right now, but Carino's been swimming laps around us. And what I'm doing is wiggling fish around. He swims up and nibbles at them, so it's just kind of getting him in the process of recognize that this is breakfast. He's been hanging out and watching the whole time. He definitely knows what fish are, and it's a slow process. So he starts to play with food, much like human babies, and that's where we are with him.
So how many males and how many females do we have?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We are at 10 and 8.
Yeah.
So a pretty even split.
10 males, 8 females. And we already know that Carino's a boy, so he's in that group as well.
How often do they have chicks, and can they lay more than one egg at a time?
They typically lay 2 eggs. In the wild, there's a very distinct breeding season, but all penguins in the world are southern hemisphere. So we are in the northern hemisphere, and our light cycles and seasons are a little different. So sometimes we get birds that will go through breeding cycles twice a year. Their natural springtime, and then our springtime here in North America. But yeah, typically it's 2 eggs, and they're managed by the species survival plan. So everything is very specific as to who breeds and who does not, and who's desired in the zoological population.
Do you have a favorite, Travis?
Yeah, for different reasons. I really like Lapis a lot. He's one of the original penguins in this group. He's been a great dad. He has definitely done his job to help pass the genes on to the Humboldt population inside AZA zoos. And then obviously Fisher was sick, so that is a major time investment for us, and at that point we become mom and dad. So myself and a couple other keepers were the ones that end up hand raising Fisher, and you can't help but build a little bit of a bond with them. They're pretty cool to be around.
What about you, Clay? Do you have a favorite?
About the same as Travis. Fisher is definitely one of them because
Well done.
he is just as lovable as any other penguin.
Lapis?
But my other favorite one is Hugo because I can respect a penguin that's bigger than everybody else.
So it's always a tough question. We love all of them equally, but there are some of 18, there are just some you're going to get closer with and spend more time with. Fisher's definitely up there for me right now because he was really friendly swimming around my legs. So I think we have answered all of your questions. They were so great. Thank you so much for tuning in to our 2nd virtual safari of the day. We have 2 more. Like I said, next is Tundra. But thank you so much, Travis. Thank you, Clay. We had a really great time giving our Humboldt penguin flock their breakfast this morning. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll put this whole video up on YouTube later so you can watch from the beginning when they were super active. Hi, Christina. The age range of this group of penguins is under a year to 29 years. So quite the range of age. Becky says, big thanks to all the keepers. We agree. I am going to sign off before I drop this phone in the water and can't do any more lives for you today. But thank you all so much. We will see you in just a few hours with Tundra. Bye.